Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Revenue and Care, the Healthcare Operations Podcast. I'm Ronnie, your host. This show is all about the healthcare landscape, what's changing, what providers are adapting to, and how billing and operational workflows connect directly to patient access and continuity of care. And for our first episode, we're starting with a topic that affects almost every provider organization today: prior authorization. Joining me is Dr. Mira, a provider leader who understands how prior authorization impacts clinical teams and operational performance.
Thanks, Ronnie. Congratulations on launching the show. I'm glad to be part of episode 1.
Dr. Mira, let's begin with a simple definition. What does prior authorization mean in today's healthcare environment?
Prior authorization is a process where certain services, procedures, imaging, medications, or equipment require approval before they can be delivered and reimbursed. It typically involves submitting clinical documentation that supports medical necessity and aligns with payer guidelines.
Exactly. And when it's handled well, it supports appropriate utilization and helps set clear expectations for coverage. So from the provider side, what are the most common ways prior authorization affects workflow?
I'd summarize it in 3 areas. First, administrative coordination. Clinical and admin teams gather documentation, complete requirements, and submit requests through payer channels.
Right.
Second, care coordination and scheduling. When authorization is pending, certain services may need to wait, so teams adjust schedules and keep patients informed.
Okay, that makes sense.
And third, billing and revenue cycle performance. If authorization details aren't captured correctly or if the claim doesn't match what was approved, providers can see payment delays and added rework.
That's an important point. Prior authorization becomes an operational checkpoint. It can influence timelines, claim quality, and overall productivity. So why does it seem that many providers say prior authorization feels more visible than ever?
Healthcare is evolving quickly. Guidelines update, payer policies are refined, and care settings are changing. So the process depends more on clear documentation, accurate coding, and consistent tracking.
Right. And as requirements evolve, organizations that use repeatable workflows, checklists, tracking systems, and alignment between teams tend to manage prior authorization more smoothly. Let's briefly touch on a development many providers are hearing about. CMS is testing a voluntary model called WISER, which stands for Wasteful and Inappropriate Service Reduction. It introduces a technology-enabled approach for prior authorization or prepayment review for select services in Original Medicare, starting in 6 states. Dr. Mira, what does this signal to providers, even those outside those states?
It signals that structured workflows and documentation alignment will become even more important. Even if it begins regionally, it reflects a broader focus on clearer review pathways and proactive verification.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that strengthening authorization and documentation processes now helps providers stay prepared as healthcare operations modernize. Before we wrap up, let's leave listeners with a few quick best practices. What should providers focus on right now?
3 things. First, standardize documentation early with checklists. Second, track every authorization with clear ownership and status updates. And third, align coding and clinical notes before submission so the request is clean the first time.
Exactly. And if a practice wants to keep prior authorization consistent without overloading internal teams, specialized support can help. At SunKnowledge, we work with providers on PA workflows, documentation readiness, tracking, and reporting so teams can stay focused on care delivery and operations. Consistency is the real goal. Dr. Mira, thank you for joining us in episode 1.
Thank you, Ronnie. This was a great conversation and a strong start to the show.
To everyone listening, thanks for being here at the beginning. If you found this episode useful, subscribe and share it with your team. See you next time.